Hi folks, Brandy here again, bringing you another video on how I make single herbal extracts. So today we won't be necessarily mixing the herbs, but I have a few single herbs that my family uses that I would like to share with you and how we use them. So I'll go over a few of the benefits, and this little book right here has been my favorite book. My mom and dad bought it for me when I was, mid to late teens. I don't remember how old I was. But I was interested in herbal medicine, and they got this for me, and it is still my favorite book. So if you don't have this book and you're wanting to do herbal medicine, I recommend definitely getting it. But anything with Rosemary Gladstar, she's wonderful. So I'm not affiliated with it. I'm not paid to say that. That's just my personal preference and experience. So first we're going to be doing burdock. And remember, nothing in this video has been evaluated or approved by the FDA and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. So do your own research. Okay, so we have burdock here. And there is a picture of the burdock plant. Not sure how well you can see that. But you can find them on the internet reasonably well. A lot of people already know what it is. It thrives a lot of places. I personally use it for liver detox and eczema. It works wonders for eczema. It is also very cooling to the liver. I take the extract like we'll be making today, but we also drink a decoction, which I'll go over a little later of how to make a decoction. So it has been used to help cleanse excess hormones from the liver that may help reduce cystic acne. It is a remedy, like I said, for cooling the liver. It also potentially has anti-cancer and anti-tumor potential, not intended to be taken alone, but talk to your doctor if you're interested in maybe adding that with something that you may be interested in. It is also good for lymph stagnation or congestion. A lot of infections and whatnot, you can feel the lymph nodes swollen in different parts of your body. Typically you think of them in the neck and all area. So you would do your burdock tea. People have also infused it in oil and rubbed it on there. But the tea or the extract, either one works best. So those are a few of the uses of it. If you harvest it in the wild, be sure to harvest it, I believe, in the first year of growth. That's what it looks like. Yep, first year of growth. So that, because the second year of growth, when it shoots up and goes to seed, then your root is smaller. So, I have not tried this, but according to Rosemary Gladstar, you can take it or leave it. Burdock seeds are also used in salves and poultices for soothing skin rashes. I have used the burdock tea and an oil topically for that, and it works. She says here you can use the seeds, you know, those funny little prickly things. So yeah. So okay, so let's get into how I make it. And I'm even going to be putting a new twist on it because I've gotten a little low on it before I realized it. And we'll be doing it the quick method, as I call it. Normally your extract's set for 6 to 8 weeks. I'm going to be doing it in the crock pot. And then it is done in 3 days. So if you are just starting into extracts and like the shelf stability of it, but you need them faster than 6 to 8 weeks, I would suggest the crock pot method. It works for most of the herbs that I use. I've not had any issues with it. I like just setting them in the pantry, but sometimes I have to do what I have to do when I forget to make them on time. So you guys are tired of hearing me chatter, so let's get into how I make this. So we'll be doing the burdock first. So I'll get this turned on, and when I do it this way, it already minuses the weight of my bowl. And I do all of my extracts this way. I have a ratio. It's called, mine would be 1 to 8. So you have 1 ounce of dried herb by weight, and I have 8 ounces of my solvent. And my solvent today will be glycerin, but you can use vinegar and other things. But it's called the 1 to 8 ratio. Some people do a 1 to 5 ratio. I found that to be a little dry, and it sometimes tried to mold on me. And thankfully they didn't, but they thought about it. And so I just went with the 1 to 8. It keeps them submerged better, and I have a better shelf life on me. So 1 to 8 is what we'll be doing today. But that, if you see that listed on the back of a tincture or extract bottle that you would purchase, sometimes they'll list, say, 1 to 5 or 1 to 8. Sometimes it's 1 to 10. And some herbs are different. There are some herbs that you want to make this is a 1 to 8 ratio. Sometimes you might make a 1 to 15 ratio because that is a very potent herb. So there's some play in there, but generally speaking, some of your most common, considered somewhat safe herbs, 1 to 8 works best for me. So we've got our burdock root here. Oops, and I'm wanting 3 ounces, sorry, because I'm going to be making a full quart jar here. So this is still the 1 to 8 ratio. So I've got 3 ounces of my burdock root, and I recommend organic herbs not only because I like organic herbs, but they have more properties in them that are good for you because they've not been tampered with chemicals and whatnot. But if it's not available to you, use what you can get there. So we have 3 ounces of our burdock root going in. And you can see as we do some other things that that's not very full. I'm not even positive it's a quarter of the way full, but if it is, that's it. So we have that in there. And hang on just one moment, I forgot my measuring cup. Sorry about that. So here, I don't like that one as well. We have our glycerin here, and I need to use this bottle up. And to do glycerin, you have to weaken it down with a little bit of water. I do 2 parts glycerin to 1 part water because I take these up fairly quickly. If you want a longer shelf life, I would recommend using 3 parts of glycerin to 1 part of water. And like I said, that's all in ratio. You can convert it to whatever size extract you're making. So I'll have 2 cups of glycerin here. And I've got my pure water. I'll do a cup of that. And remember, when you mix water and glycerin, they will separate. I don't think this measuring cup allows you to see it too well, but it kind of reminds me of oil and water. The water will sit on top and you mix your glycerin with it. It will mix together. It's not like oil and water that doesn't mix very well, but it will mix together. You stir it up real good. You'll see it turn a little cloudy, and then it'll turn back clear. And that's what you want. If you do it with straight glycerin and no water, it doesn't extract very well, so you want at least a little bit of water in there. But that's the reason I said if you want a long shelf life, go 3 parts glycerin, 1 part water. So, put that on there. And then you just pour it over like you do all the other extracts. And there we go. So that I'll cap this, give it a good shake. And because I'm going to be putting this in the crock pot and it will get steamy and wet, I'm going to put just a small label on top so I don't accidentally confuse it. But when it comes out of the crock pot, I will make sure the jar is dry and I will label it more fully on the side like I normally do. So I'm just going to put this as burdock and the date. Like I said, I'll label it more fully when it comes out of the crock pot. I'll put that on the top because when we put it in there, we'll be filling it up pretty good with water. Okay, I'll set that aside and then bring you guys over to do the crock pot in a moment. Okay, so then my next herb will be oat straw, and once again I'll give you a few benefits of it. I use it for, it makes you feel like life's vibrant again. So it's good for nerves, and it feeds the nervous system. It not only settles the anxiety and nerves like we would think of, but it actually feeds the nervous system. To quote out of this book, they are particularly valuable for situations as in multiple sclerosis, in which the mycelium sheath surrounding nerve endings has been damaged or worn. Though milky oats may not heal multiple sclerosis, they generally lessen the disease symptoms by reducing fatigue and strengthening the muscles and improving nerve function. That's a direct quote out of there. But that is kind of the idea behind it. It is also good for heart health. It is high in magnesium and helps the blood flow to balance. Has been used good for women's health long term. It helps nourish women's problems. It's very easy to access in most situations. You can buy the milky oat tops extract, or you can grow the oats yourself if you're a place you can grow them, and harvest the milky tops when the what would eventually be the grains squirts a little bit of milky white. Then you harvest that, and then you make an extract out of it while it is fresh. And when it gets summertime, I'll be sure to bring you guys over and we'll do some fresh extracts. I love those. But when it is not available to me, I buy oat straw powder or cut and sifted oat straw. The cut and sifted oat straw was out of stock, so I got powder. It's better than nothing. So I'll let that go out, and once again we'll just do it all over again. So we'll have, ooh, it shoots powder everywhere. 3 ounces of our oat straw powder, and this stuff tastes really good. And if you don't want to make an extract out of it, it makes what they call an infusion of it also. Zip that up so it don't go everywhere. Okay, so now we've got 3 ounces of our oat straw powder. And if it was cut and sifted oat straw, it would actually be volume-wise larger than it is, but I don't have cut sifted. Okay, so remember how full this jar was. It's actually floating now, so it's just not very full at all. And get this in here without making such a mess. And there you have it, 3 ounces of oat straw. You can see that's easily double. And like I said, if this was cut and sifted and not powdered, it would probably be even double from that. But that is the reason why I like to do my herb by weight and not by a volume measurement such as a tablespoon or a half a cup measuring cup or whatever you would try to use. If that's all you have, that's the way I started out. By all means do it. And it does work, but I found this to be the most effective. So there's our oat straw. Once again, we'll do our 2 cups of glycerin. And 1 cup of water. We will stir and pour in. And yes, I'm reusing these because they're not hurt. It's all dried herb at dust off. So stir. And this one, because there is a little more volume in there, I'm probably going to have to stir it down. As you can tell, that's getting pretty full. I'll take a butter knife, or you can take a chopstick or case knife, whatever you want to call these, and give it a stir down. Help get that herb wet, and it will sink in the jar a little bit so you can add the rest of your glycerin. But as these herbs rehydrate, as they are in the crock pot, or if you were letting them set for the 6 to 8 weeks in the pantry, they will absorb a lot of that. So then you have to strain it back out. I prefer, especially with the powders, I prefer a cheesecloth to strain it out with. Something big like the burdock I can do through just a fine mesh strainer, but for something like this, I always use cheesecloth, or I have bought handkerchiefs and just have them designated for that and strain them like that. Then you'll be sure to get the most out of your extract and not all the powder. It's done. So, there we go. And I'll put a label on this. And then we have one more. And this is what I call my chicken scratch handwriting, because I know I'll be relabeling it. But when you do these, you want to be sure when it's still dry you have a good bit of movement in there. You probably can't see it on the camera, but you can see it moves somewhat freely maybe. You don't want it to be so thick, because then when it does try to rehydrate the herbs, it will end up getting dry, and that's when I had trouble with them possibly trying to mold. And of course, the burdock has plenty of room, but he's just as potent as the oat straw. So, our last one for today will be cinnamon. And there is something special I want to tell you about cinnamon. There is a chemical component in your regular, what is called cassia cinnamon. Some people pronounce it different, but that's how I say it. And that is what you traditionally buy in your grocery store. And in large amounts, it has potential to cause liver problems. I don't remember the exact name. If I find it, I'll be sure to put it in the post along with this video. But it has the potential to cause problems. What is called Ceylon cinnamon does not have nearly as much of it, and has been shown to be much safer when taken for medicinal or long-term use. So since we use this to help control blood sugar, and it also helps with weight loss, so that's a tidbit to stick under your hat, then we use the Ceylon cinnamon. It is more expensive, but your health is always worth as much as you can afford that way. So I'm going to be doing the 3 ounces of cinnamon. Another thing that we have used cinnamon for with great success is women's monthly cramps. I know that's hard to imagine, but it does work, guys. So if you have cinnamon, and if you're just using it for a day or so for something like that, then if all you have is the cinnamon in your pantry, you're perfectly fine to use that. Just steep you up a cup of tea with it, put your little honey with it, and it does help greatly. But since we take this daily for blood sugar balance, we get the Ceylon cinnamon. So there's that. Some of the that is also out of this book. I just quoted it because I've memorized, not all of it by no means, but I've memorized a lot of it. So there's our cinnamon going in, and I'm thinking this should be similar to the oat straw for both powders. Yeah, it's similar. It's a little less though, because cinnamon is a bark, so it's a little more dense than your oat straw. So the oat straw is around there. Your cinnamon's a little less, but it's a bark. Any of your barks and roots are going to be more dense. Alright, we got our 2 cups of glycerin. cup of water. Give it a stir. And in she goes. So once again, I'll probably have to stir this one down because as you can see, it all wants to float. Maybe not. I'll give it a stir anyway to mix it all together, but it did blend fairly well. So there we go, our knife again. And for you can buy, some people can find the Ceylon cinnamon in sticks, and you can definitely make an extract with those. I don't remember if I couldn't find sticks or if this was cheaper. I don't remember which way it goes, but I usually always buy the powder. And this does last a good long ways. We also do cinnamon capsules. If you watch my capsule video, I believe I mentioned that I would be making cinnamon capsules later that day, and I did. I prefer the tincture or the extract. I believe it works a little better. It also stretches your money. It's cheaper to make the extract and take it than it is to buy the capsules and make those. It's also a lot less time consuming. Capsules can take a while. You have to do a lot of them. So we do the capsules for if you're at work or at school or whatever. If you're on the road a little bit, the capsules are easier to fit in your purse or a bag or in your vehicle, and then you've got them ready. So give this a shake. Slap a label on it, and we'll show you guys how I put these in the crock pot. Or you can use any slow cooker. It's just what we always call it around our house. I don't mention any brands or anything just because I'm not sponsored by anything. That might be what we just call it. So, okay, so here we have our extract all mixed up here, and I will be putting it in my slow cooker. I remembered that. So your trick is you want them to stay warm but not too warm. I did them on low in this slow cooker, and it's going to kind of depend on what your slow cooker does. Just keep an eye on it. You don't want it to completely boil or simmer. You just want it to stay kind of hot. So typically for most slow cookers, keep warm is going to be your best option. Then you want to take a cloth. I've got just an old washcloth here because it's just going to be sitting in the bottom to keep the jars from breaking. But you can use whatever cloth you have, a kitchen towel, whatever. So you're going to put it in the bottom like that. And I'll probably put 2 layers there, and they kind of overlap, but that's okay. I want them good and cushioned. And when you put your jars in there, and I may only fit 2 in this slow cooker, but I have another slow cooker and I may finish it off in there if I don't have room. Yeah, that's going to be really tight. So I'm going to do 2 quarts in this one, and I'll set this one after I get done with this video. But for the sake of showing you guys how to do this, I've got my cloths in the bottom, and I already have it on turn keep warm because it takes forever for slow cookers to heat up. And then my lid will not fit on this. This is okay. It will just require a little bit more of diligence on my part, but it also keeps your rings from rusting so bad. Pint jars fit in this. If you have a larger slow cooker, it would work good for that too. So I have water here, and I'm going to pour around the jars. Okay, looks like I need a bit more. If you could get that for me, please. Thank you, Sarah. So I'll finish filling this up just as full as I can get it. So it'll be probably about right there, which will cover most of my extract that's in the jar. And what I'll do is about twice a day, I'll come by with a hot pad or a kitchen towel, something to protect yourself from the heat because they will get hot. And I will give them a shake. and then place them back in the water. Your other thing, it's true for anything, but especially with me not being able to put the lid on, is you'll need to check it 2 to 3 times a day to make sure it's full. And it can operate through the night if you're okay with that. Thank you, sir. It can operate through the night if you're okay with that. Just be sure right before you go to bed that it is completely full of water. I'm not sure if you can see that on camera, but I've got that as full as the slow cooker allows. And so it will be, make sure it's completely full of water before you go to bed, and make that the first thing you check when you get up. So I'll be starting this today, and in 3 days from now, after I shake it twice a day, and be sure it's full of water at all times. And if you work and you're comfortable with your slow cooker running while you're out of the house, like I said, just be sure it's full before you leave for work, and check it immediately when you come back from work or school or whatever. So that make sure it's completely full and that everything is not going to get bone dry. If the water goes down, it does not affect the potency of your extract, but it does keep it warmer the fuller your slow cooker is. And also, if it runs out of water, your jars will burst and crack, and then you've lost everything because you don't want to chance glass shards in your extract. So be sure that stays full and it doesn't run out, and you've got your cloths on the bottom. So you'll leave this run for 3 days. So don't plan it when you have a slow cooker meal plan. So okay, so I think that's all for today's video, and I'll be sure to get this started in our other slow cooker sometime, and I'll be sure to bring you guys back. I don't know if it will be for these when I strain them up, but one day I will show you guys how I strain up the crock pot tinctures or the pantry tinctures. So thank you guys for watching. I sure do appreciate your comments, and I hope you guys learned something new. Bye.